Today, we're building Lego Water, and our vertical city story finally begins. And it starts right down on the beach. So we're going to go ahead and build our basic water and beach, showing you the techniques, getting it all together, and in the comments, give you the opportunity to name the water. Let us know what the ocean's called. Our story begins now. Stick around. Hello everyone, welcome back to Bricks and Kin. You can see here we've got some modulars on our shelf, and over here lots of sets that are yet to be opened. There's even plenty of them on the floor here, causing a little bit of chaos. A pretty common sight in someone who has a Lego city or a Lego collection, yeah? But we're going to do something a little bit different. You see, most people want to display their modulars on shelves, just like this, or on a table, and that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But we want to do something a little bit different. You see, the reason that buildings in real life are higgledy-piggledy, the reason that they're all different shapes and sizes and they look a little bit different, they don't quite fit, the reason that paths are a little bit smaller or wider than normal is because of the story that came with them. Because they changed through time. Initially there was the land and people came along and put a bunch of buildings on it. So you can't really plan a city, can you? I mean, I know they're city planners, but they still work with what they currently have. So we are going to try and build our city through time. This will mean that we need to remove these modulars now. They will come back, and we will look at additional modulars that are all in these boxes, as well as lots of custom ones that we're going to build. However, to begin our city today and start from the ground up, we need to remove these modulars, take them away, and then we're going to start building our water and our sand, the very first bit of our Lego city. This is going to be fun. One of the problems with taking them off the shelf to start the vertical city is you suddenly realize you've got to put them somewhere, and that's been fun. So now what have we got? Some bare shelves. There's a nursery rhyme in there somewhere. But now we've got to start building our bay. We're going to start today with the water. We're going to go onto the beach, and any buildings that we build going forward through this series are going to be built on this land. So going forward, and every Sunday, we're going to develop on each part of that. Sometimes modulars won't survive. Sometimes new ones will come on the scene, and we're going to have great retired ones as well as ones that are currently in production, as well as a lot of our own creations. So let's get started on this finally on our vertical Lego city. And we start where every seaside story and city begins, by the water. Let's build. So the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need some parts. Initially, we're going to need tam plates to do the beach. Small parts for detail, big plates to cover up space. So we'll start by laying some of this land in. Now I'm going to go a good note basically for the shelf city is that we're probably only going to go to about 13 studs in from here, and our coast is going to be from the back here all the way up. So that means the water and the beach has to be within those 13 studs, and that's because we don't have a lot of real estate to play with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and that's why I'm just going to place that little plate there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'll actually place it, yeah, I'll just put it right here. The last, that just mark as a little, act as a little marker there. So the whole sea and beach scene has to end by this, and we want to create some wavy patterns through it so that it just looks a little bit natural. And that's very hard to do with these sort of bricks, and the way to do it is just sort of stack them, basically. So what we'll do is we're just going to start laying down some of those plates. is just to see what your real estate's going to be. You don't have a lot, because ultimately we're in a vertical city. There we go. And all I'm doing is filling that in. Now I'm going to then stagger this little bit once it starts getting down a bit lower, but for now we're just running a straight line across, just to denote the end of our beach. If you've got bigger plates, then fantastic. So I'm just going to put something there on that cheeky wee line, just to stop us dancing across it nice and easily. Now we've layered down sort of the boundary line for that, and our beach is naturally going to have to sweep in somehow. So now what we're going to do is just sort of lay out a staggered approach here. Just sort of roughly try and get some of this coastline in here, and don't worry about making it too non-sharp. I know it's a bit flat at the moment. We'll even that out. Just trying to get a rough idea of what's happening with that coast. And there's a lot more technical ways to build a beach, but we're just trying to do something we can all do. I've just left that little gap there. Maybe something can hide in there, we'll see. But for now, all we're trying to do is create a jagged sort of line that our water eventually will come up and meet. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to start trying to fill this in with our beach area here. By doing it tan, what you'll find is it allows you to just layer it a little bit more, because you don't know how that beach is going to go, because the beach's gradient is going to come up. It's going to have to rise up and not just stay flat. It's going to be very interesting as settlers arrive. Just a barren beach out there at the moment being clicked together. Remember that now that we were laying this land in this ocean, we're not moving it. So our modulars have to fit around this going forward. Our own creations have to fit in between. That's going to create some really interesting shapes. Just think about walking down streets when you see things that don't quite fit. That's what we're aiming for in our city. We don't want parallel lines. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. And as I do it, I'm going to start to layer it backwards. So I'm going to start again at the back, filling it in, always from the back. I'm making sure I start to leave another layer slightly smaller than this one, just giving it that odd appearance in there. Legends tell us that these waters were choppy and rough, and they kept settlers away for years in our land. That's why it stands uninhabited for all this time. But fear not, our minifigs are on the horizon. Okay, so now that we've done that, we want to try now and start just making that a little bit less blocky. And the way to do that is just to use some of these sort of 1x1s and 1x2s, the smaller pieces. Smaller pieces are your friend here. I wonder what caused this divot. Could have been anything, couldn't it? And it's uninhabited, so maybe something built a nest. Who knows? We'll see. How many beaches you've visited, they're not all the same. So you can make yours whatever you want. That's the joy. We're just collecting bricks here. The next thing we're going to need is we're going to need to have a couple of different shades of blue. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so for the water we're going to use these blue pieces, dark blue pieces. We'll need a couple of white pieces and also, oh, hang on, another shade of blue, something like that. This is medium azure, they call this. What a beautiful word. Medium azure, yeah. All right, and we'll need a little bit of white pieces as well. Let's go for 1x1s if we can. There we go. There's a 1x1. And we're going to need a lot of these little, I reckon, 1x1 round plates here that can just act as sort of bubbles. And something you can always do is just get a photo of the real thing, look it up, Google it, and see what it does. And if you look at a picture of an ocean, you know, it graduates from dark to light. And that's the key here. And remember, more complex techniques, but we want one that we can do fairly easily and with fairly readily available parts. All I'm going to do is take the sections where there might be a little bit of deeper water in there. I'm just going to set down a little dark piece here. That's it. And then what I'm going to do is around those dark pieces, we're then going to put in our blue pieces. We're going to try and transition. Now, ultimately, the most important thing is that by the coast, there's got to be these little one by ones that you're going to hopefully be like our bubbles. These are the little round ones. It doesn't matter if they've got the holes in them or not. And we're going to use that in a combination of these little one by one square tiles. So what we'll do is we'll just start putting some of them down, I reckon, just to help us graduate it back out. Those frothing waves on the water. Makes you want to go to the beach, doesn't it? We live quite close to a beach, actually, and we really don't use it enough. It's always the way. So all I'm doing is scattering some of these around because the rest of them I'm going to fill in with my one by one round pieces. Maybe in some places it's actually double thickness, and we can utilize the places where we have a little bit of growth to do that. Help us create this story. Be part of the journey. What do you think this ocean's called? If you're enjoying this build, please remember to subscribe. It really helps the channel. Every Sunday, we're going to be adding more and more to our vertical city. We're going to be getting modular buildings, old, retired. We're going to be adding our own creations there. And when they're substantial, we'll update you with instructions to do that as well, encouraging us just to build. Now we've put some whites all along here, and that's just the froth of that wave, and we can now work backwards. The next lightest color we have is this medium azure that goes into that blue before that dark blue. I'm going to put it down there, and they're just going to hug up close to those little bubbles. And I'm going to run this the whole way around. Make sure everywhere where the bubbles touch, there is a medium azure here. And so it was that somewhere in the wider world, a minifig decided to lay a name upon this piece of land. And they named it Harumi Bay, a place they'd never visited, that no minifig had ever ventured, but they would soon set sail. Now you can see we're graduating. We've got some places very dark blues going to normal blues, then that medium azure, I love saying that. And that goes to our bubbles then. Maybe in some places, the waves are just a little bit higher than we expect. I'm just going to put a few little studs to get ready. Now what we've got to do is we've got to start looking at making these seas either smooth or choppy. And I imagine that these seas are actually quite choppy. This is an ocean in a land far away. And like I said, it doesn't even have settlers yet. Look at this jagged coastline in there. Oh, there's obviously activity. So we're going to have to make it quite rough. And for that, a great little friend of ours is going to be the Trans Blue cheese wedge. Everybody likes a wee bit of cheese. There you go, look at that. Aren't they beautiful? Dancing in your hand, absolutely wonderful. And the idea with these is we're simply going to put them on in a completely random fashion. So I'm just going to go along, they don't have to be forwards and backwards, but I'm going to go along and I'm going to just put some random choppiness on there. Most of the parts we're using today came from the Lego Pick-a-Brick wall, and that's probably the most cost-effective way to do it. These parts regularly appear on the Pick-a-Brick wall. If you're not wearing your Lego store, then your second best bet is likely going to be BrickLink. But make sure you watch that shipping. And the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we start to just get some of our cheese slopes or some of our tiles onto these bubble areas. Then what we want to do is just take some of our 1x1 flat tiles, trans clear tiles, and just click them down on top of those. This represents just the water getting nice and clear as it crashes onto the shore. That's what we're trying to represent with this. If you look at a picture of a beach, you'll see that as it creeps up the sand, it's going to get more clear, and we will add some of it to our sand in a moment. The next thing you'll notice when you look at the beach is, there's sort of a wet sand, and a good idea is to do this sort of dark tan. And I'm going to choose a tile because if we choose a tile, it's going to be smooth. So now what I'm going to do is just to fill in those areas where I can't put plate or I can't put something. I'm simply going to put some of those little white bubbles in there. Okay, and now what we want to do is take the little 1x1 clears, just pop some of them on there. And what you're going to want to do with those trans clear tiles is just make sure that they bridge between the foam of the water and the sand. Don't be afraid to extend it a little bit into the sand in some areas just to show that wave crashing into the shore. We may want to just raise our sand a little bit. And we're going to do that with some good old-fashioned plates again. Final thing just to add on there, maybe a little bit of detail. It'd be a few rocks, things like that. Let's have a look. What could we have? Maybe there's just a little bit of seaweed. What I'm going to do is I just want to put a little fern piece here like seaweed. I reckon that looks like a bit of beach now. This is why we're starting with water. Because cities don't grow from neat, perfect plans. They grow from necessity. They grow out of the land and out of the past. And what you've seen so far is only the beginning. We've got classics, future modulars, and even our own creations waiting in the wings. Piece by piece, era by era, they're all going to take place here. Some will remain forever, others will fade away. That's what makes it alive. So there we are, just like that. Our city has a name, Harumi Bay. And next time, we're going to work out our terrain. So if you want to build along with us, make sure you grab some slopes, plates, tiles of earth tones, greens, grays, tan pieces, dark tan, light tan. And we're going to integrate our beach into the surrounding environment and start laying that greenery and that rock work. Until then, remember everyone, play well.